Richie Woodhall, as we mentioned, was returning to action, the former WBC World Super Middleweight title holder. It's looking like it could be a tough road back for Richie Woodhall, so he needs to start performing very consistently. He started against Errol McDonald tonight, the Nottingham fighter trying to rebuild, very promising earlier in his career, but Woodhall needed to win and win well. Here's round two.
In the corner, please. Box.
Blue trunksy baggies written on the back there. West Bromwich Albion's nickname. Big day for them tomorrow. So Richie's looking for the win double for his side to stay up tomorrow and for him to win tonight. I'm not sure which he wants more, actually. He's such a West Brom fan.
Well, really is a textbook boxer. Works behind that jab, brings his punches off that.
Good jabs again from Woodhall. Just wondered a couple of fights ago, around the time of the Catley fight, whether his skills were beginning to erode, whether he was beginning to lose the plot, which would have been no crime after everything he's achieved, amateur and pro. Happens to the best fighters, but he looks pretty revitalized in here at the moment, albeit steps down in class for tonight's exercise.
Well, there's nothing coming back at him from McDonald, so you know it's pretty easy to look good for Woodhall here.
Lovely right uppercut from Richie Woodhall. Will be hoping for a World Championship chance at his old title. Richie's always had a very good jab, lots of heart, and an excellent chin, which was a surprise when he was put on the floor 3 times by Bayer.
Well, again, it's just controlling it with that jab, just not allowing McDonald to get in the fight or get some punches going.
Könnt ihr mich hören?
It's McDonald's first fight for nearly a year, and on that occasion he was beaten in 3 rounds and floored twice by Neville Brown, and he's under heavy pressure here. It's very one-sided, this. McDonald's hardly managing to land a punch that matters.
Well, he really is picking the punches well, Woodhall. He just seemed to hurt McDonald with a right hook.
And it's the ideal confidence rebuilding exercise, this, for Woodhall. McDonald just cannot get competitive. Woodhall isn't allowing him to. Third round. Richie Woodhall with the blue trunks and Nottingham's Errol McDonald. He was a pretty good class welterweight on the way through, McDonald, and even had a European title fight against Patricio Olivar, but that was getting on for 10 years ago now. This could be McDonald's last major paycheck here, really, unless he can come up with something pretty dramatic, and at the moment it doesn't look like he can.
Well, it's very difficult because he's got so much height and reach advantage over McDonald. It's difficult for McDonald to get close to Woodhall to really land with anything, and when he does try, Woodhall punishes him with the jab.
Doesn't usually win quickly, Woodhall. He does it using his skills. Reining in a lot of punches. McDonald tries to turn the tables on him for a moment, but Woodhall quickly away from those ropes. Sickening for McDonald to keep on taking these jabs, and bit by bit you would think he's going to be broken up. The referee would have to start to think about having a pretty close look, because McDonald just is not getting into this fight. Kurt Struer is the referee.
Well, that jab's working so well, really is a good punch from Woodhall, and that must be hurting McDonald, and you know, and all the fight will be coming out of him. Woodhall just works away with that left.
Woodhall very hurt about losing his World Championship. He's not the kind to leave the arena in a disguise or anything like that, but the pain was there for him. He's a proud fighting man. Well, about the only question out there at the moment, Glenn, is how soon can Woodhall get this over with?
Well, McDonald trying to throw a couple of jabs back, trying to just busy himself up a little bit. He needs to, because it's all Woodhall.
It's up for Woodhall now to throw in enough unanswered punches to convince the referee to step in, but that's the end of round 3. All 3 rounds to Woodhall. You always get good crowds in Germany. This one building up as well. Sports on a bit of a upward curve in this country, if not everywhere else in the world. Here's the 5th round. Richie Woodhall, totally dominant so far, as we expected him to be here, as you would expect him to be, in the West Bromwich Albion blue with the white stripes down the side of his shorts. He actually writes a column about West Bromwich Albion in the Wolverhampton Evening Sports paper. A lot of the players are pretty matey with him, including the goal scorer Lee Hughes. Often turns up at Richie Woodhall fights, but obviously not this one.
Just seemed as if he was a little bit in pain when he went to throw that right hand there. Maybe the elbow he's had trouble with, giving him a little bit of bother.
Well, that'll be something to watch. Of course, Woodhall went into a world title fight with Keith Holmes, his first attempt to win a world title at middleweight, carrying that injury. Probably should never have fought, but the opportunity and the payday was there. And he's getting through with some heavier looking shots here, really jolting the head back of McDonald on those far ropes. Lasted as far as the 12th round, even with the injury against Keith Holmes. Woodhall on that occasion, but really had no realistic chance of winning, carrying it into the fight against a good fighter like him.
Well, he's getting through harder punches in this round and cleaner punches. Woodhall just starting to try and mix it up more.
Maybe the corner have just said try to set yourself a little more for a bit of extra power. Woodhall, who wears the initials NJG on his trunks in memory of Nicky Grice, a close friend of his who was tragically killed in a car crash at the age of 26. Richie took his world title bout along to his graveside the day after he won the world title against Sugar Boy Malinga.
Well, he really is trying to work McDonald over now. This is good punches and good pressure from Woodhall, really just not letting McDonald have a moment's rest.
He's looking to force the stoppage now, Glenn, isn't he? He definitely wants this over with.
Yes, he's just up the tempo a bit. It's a good control performance from Woodhall, and I think he's starting to hurt McDonald.
I think the referee's got to think about stepping in and stopping this, because McDonald cannot get into this fight at all. And he's taking a lot of punches. It's very one-sided. He's trying bravely to fight back there on those ropes, McDonald, but if you were in his corner, Glenn, what would be going through your mind here?
Well, you know, he's not really doing it. He hasn't got the performance, and he's just going to take more. I think they're going to start looking at, you know, his future and his health.
Sixth round.
Hank! Keep working, Rich. Come on now. Oh, good punch. Flick him out, flick him out.
You might be disappointed, Woodhall, that he hasn't managed to force a stoppage by now, but I guess after 7 months out of the ring, they won't worry too much about him getting a few rounds under his belt. Maybe.
Come on.
No, I don't think they will. I think it'll you know, it's good for him to get a few more rounds. He is boxing very well. He is, you know, he's got that urgency. He is doing everything the way he should, going through with his punches. Yeah, he just hasn't got the stoppage yet, but I don't think they'll be too worried about that.
Come on.
Könnt ihr mich hören, ihr Lieben?
Flick him out, that's it. Shot, Rich.
Despite Denny seeing his instructions about 3-round fight, it's due to go 10. Whether it gets that far, I don't know, because Woodhall got through with some heavy-looking shots again there. McDonald looked as if he might be on the brink of going.
Hank! Step back. Step back. Keep it up, jab it away.
Well, McDonald having a rare success with the jab, but everything else is coming from Woodhall.
Naturally the stronger man at the weight too. Richie Woodhall showed then as he shoved McDonald away from him.
Flick him out, Rich, flick him out, come on. Bang, bang, double him up. Bang, bang.
Well, he's showing good pride here, McDonald. Having taken all the punches that he has, still trying to get competitive.
Shot, Richie!
McDonald, who was an ABA champion all of 15 years ago at welterweight, in what was only a 25-bout amateur career. Plenty of talent there, but very definitely at the journeyman and opponent stage now.
Well, he is, but he's still got a bit of pride, and it's the pride that's keeping him up.
Got a lot of pride. Trying to come back at Woodhall here now. I would think that Richie must be getting a little frustrated by this juncture.
Yes, that could come in, but he's very experienced. You know, he's been going a long time, good career amateur and pro, so you'd think he'd be able to handle that.
Seventh round. Blue and white. Richie Woodhall from Telford in Shropshire, where he's got a very, very big fan club. I think he sold about £18,000 worth of tickets for one of his fights there. Not bad going.
It's very good. He has got a good following, Woodhall. Very likeable man.
Yes, he's paid his dues, as they say, deserving and respected throughout the business, Richie Woodhall.
Hank! Step back.
Certainly not one of those fighters who has ever cosseted or given anything that easily. Everything he's done really has come off the amateur education he had and the amateur disciplines. Still follows the diet and training of his amateur days under Kevin Hickey.
Hank! Step back.
Good body shot that was by Woodhall, on the right hand around the side too, and again then the uppercut. Well picked shots.
Yes, he has got a good repertoire. And McDonald still come back with that flurry, and you know, he just looked as if, you know, a few more punches going in and he'd be on the verge of getting stopped, but he, you know, he comes back.
But you would have to say at this stage, without wishing to sound cruel about it, McDonald does look an old fighter now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He hasn't got that fire anymore, that little spark that he had in his youth.
Good uppercut and a right hand from Woodhall. But whereas Neville Brown, the former British middleweight champion, had McDonald on the floor twice and stopped him in 3 rounds, Woodhall is still there trying to do it in the 7th. He's looked as if he's very close to that kind of breakthrough a couple of times, but hasn't quite been able to go through with it.
He's having quite a big round here, Woodhall. He is hurting McDonald. I think McDonald is sickened by the punches that he's been hit with.
It's an awful lot coming in. I think 1 or 2 British referees I can think of might have stopped this by now, you know.
Yes, I think they would have. I think just by the the sheer fact that it doesn't look as if from here McDonald has any chance of winning. So I know he's got pride. He wants to make the distance, but he's just going to take a lot more.
Something the corner have to think about as well. This is where you do need good.
Das war die 7. Runde und wir bitten Willi Fischer und Timo Hoffmann sich langsam bereit.
And if McDonald's going to have future fights, the next 3 rounds are not really going to do him too much good, are they?
Most definitely. I mean, that's what they've got to think about. They know that he'll argue against it. I think they may well be doing it now, but I think
they're going to pull him out. Jimmy Gill going over to the referee. I think he's impaired vision. I think they are going to pull him out the fight, are they? Or
yes, it looks as if it is. I think it's all over now.
And if they have decided that, it's a good decision. I'm not quite sure. There's a bit of confusion in there at the moment. The referee's made no signal.
Seconds out, please.
They're going to wait, are they, until the bell rings before? Is that the local rule here? Maybe it is. There goes the bell, and that's how the referee signals the end. You can't see that in shot at the moment. Now the local director will give you the shot. The fight is over. Richie Woodhall has officially stopped Errol McDonald, but he was retired by his corner, really. But I'm glad they did that, because I wouldn't have wanted to see Errol take any more. He was really good and brave in there, took a lot of shots and tried his heart out to get into it, but he couldn't do it against
No, he couldn't. He just, he didn't have the physical ability. I think at the end it was a problem with his eye that caused them to pull him out, and that was the right thing to do. He took, he started to take too much, and even with his pride, it was the right time to get him out.
Good to see Richie Woodhall back. Told you anything new, though?
Not really. It just emphasised the fact that he's not really a puncher, technically correct puncher, but a very good boxer. Good work rate, and whereas maybe some other fighters would have got rid of McDonald a lot earlier, Richie didn't struggle. He won as he pleased, and looks to be edging his way back into the scene.
Is he right to go on, Robin? I'm just going to point out to you, he's 32 now, Richie Woodhall.
Yeah, it was a good technical display of boxing, but it's, like you said then, he's nothing really new, good jab. He just seems to lack that power, it doesn't seem that he's in the, since losing the title, I mean, who am I to tell him how to train or whatever, but I mean, it doesn't seem like he's going away
and
worked on his power of punch. Do you know what I mean? It seems, he's got a good jab and he is a good technical fighter, you can't take that away from him. But, in the division that we're in, the super middleweight division, it's an exciting division. And as you know, there's, I've told myself, there's big punches out there that, that a little bit more powerful than Richie.